That's wonderful. Perfect. All right. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. Happy Pride Month.
Yes.
I'm Chris Gosses. I'm the president of Rainbow Pride of West Virginia, for those who don't know me. And I would love to introduce to you somebody that I love very much. This is Stacy Oden, for those of you who don't know her. And Stacy's been a member on the Pride board for 3 years now, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. 3 years.
So Stacy, when Stacy and I first met each other back before involvement with Pride, we had like an instant connection, and we met each other in like social nonprofit work too, because I was doing a photo shoot for Girls Night Out for the Hope Foundation, and Stacy happened to be involved with the committee, and she was a model. I mean, because she's beautiful.
I love it.
So guys, what we have in store for you today is, you know, when Stacy and I have been talking, and actually the whole Pride board has been talking about, even before all these tragic events that happened recently, we've been talking about ways that we can be a better service as an organization to our community. We realize that, you know, we have these conversations at our meetings and one-on-one, but we need to put that into action and in a way that you guys can see it too and be a part of the conversation, more than just the events that we have. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And but what I want to reiterate is, and just share with you, and especially for folks that maybe didn't see the statement that Rainbow Pride of West Virginia that we put out earlier in the week in support of our Black brothers, sisters, and siblings in the community. I'm going to put that up on screen, and we're going to read that for you guys. And then we're going to start our conversation, because spill the tea is we're getting together and we're going to spill the tea.
Yes. We're
going to talk about life experiences. You know, I'm not an expert on really anything. And the people that we're talking with, we wanted to keep it an intimate conversation because it's such a serious conversation. But that doesn't mean that this is the end of the conversation. We just hope to inspire conversations to be had, and we just hope to give a voice to folks that all too often feel like they don't have a voice. So I'm going to share my screen. In the statement that we released earlier in the week, Rainbow Pride of West Virginia, you know, it's up to us to create a peace in the world that we want to see. We at Rainbow Pride of West Virginia value diversity and inclusivity. We bring people together to celebrate the LGBTQ plus and allied community. And right now, so many people who make up our community are hurting. We're not only here for our celebrations, we're also here to empower our audience to have a deeper conversation about how we move the collective forward together. Our platform is to educate people of our community, and we're committed to learning, growing, and providing one another with the tools, resources to create a better future for all.
Thank you so much. And Chris, really quickly, you cut out a little bit whenever we panned. Okay. But so I wanted to say too, people might not have heard the beginning, and luckily we're sharing it here and we have it on our platform so that if you all missed it, you can get our full message. And again, our platform is to educate the people of our community, and we are committed to learning, growing, and providing one another with the tools, resources to create a better future for all. We can all do our part individually by having difficult discussions and sharing information responsibly to make others more aware to what injustices or hardships other folks are facing. While Pride is transitioning, we also encourage our community to grow with us as we make our world a better place for all who fall within our spectrum of love. We are committed to making a positive impact on our community, leading by example and being a place for folks to connect and share, learn and grow. We lead with love. We stand with our Black brothers, sisters, siblings. You are seen, you are valued, you are loved, and you matter. And I want to say too, Chris always gives me all of the kudos and the nice things, but I want Chris to make sure that he's receiving his flowers while he's here. As a board president, I have seen Chris Gosses transform the conversation, elevate people's voices who has historically not been heard, and to just give you a real safe space to have these difficult conversations, because a lot of it is we're not talking to each other. We're talking at each other, we're talking about each other, but we're not talking to each other. And that's something that Chris and I, because we both have the gift of gab, which is beautiful, we love to talk to each other. We like to meet each other where we're at and then grow together. And in my time being involved with the Pride Board and just within the Charleston, well, really reaching a statewide reach at this point, the LGBTQ community, I want to make sure that we are empowering people to have these difficult conversations. Because at the end of the day, what we're all looking for is a better world for us to live in, a better world that we can pass on to our future generations and really empower them with the tools to advocate for themselves. So first and foremostly, if you're watching, if you watch this later, if you just want to have some time, let's give a couple of silent snaps for Chris and all that he does, and our board members and all that they do to make sure that they are understanding everyone that falls within the spectrum. I truly appreciate you all. And I don't know if I say it, we cry together all the time, but I needed to say it here with this platform. Thank you for even having this.
Well, I mean, I appreciate it. You know, I'm really humbled. Like, you know, I don't take compliments well, but you know, my role is to listen, and my role is hopefully, you know, I've been asked several times, you know, as an example, when we went to Mount West Community and Technical College, I was asked to speak there on behalf of Rainbow Pride of West Virginia, when they're talking about diversity, not only racial diversity, but with, you know, LGBTQ and, you know, women and, you know, other minorities and immigrants. And the question was asked to me, how do I translate and recognize my own privilege, not only my white privilege, but my male privilege, my cisgender male privilege, representing or you know, being the face at times, you know, for folks who don't look like me, who have walked a different path in life than me. And the answer that I gave, and what I say all the time, and I know, Stacy, you've heard me say this a million times, but it's like, I recognize that I can have certain conversations that other people can't, maybe.
Yes.
And my goal is always to bring everybody into the room with me.
Yes.
Whether we're talking about racial issues within the LGBTQ community or trans issues, and helping people get understandings. You know, again, I'm not the expert on anything, but for me, you know, my time on the Pride Board, when I was vice president, even now president, and even the networks that we create, the goal is to create that conversation. And that's how you get allies, and that's how you impact change. Now, I realize that with all the injustices that are going on right now, and just the generational impact and pain and struggle, and I'm almost done talking, because it's not for me to talk, you know. I'm here to, like I said, I'm here to listen. As Stacy said, we both have the gift of gab, and anyone who's been to any Pride event or knows me personally knows that I'll gab. But, you know, we don't think that we're going to solve the world's problems with one Zoom conversation with 4 of us. We think that we're going, or we hope that we're going to inspire folks to talk to their friends, to talk to their family, to not just be a social media warrior, but have those conversations, or reach outside of your comfort zone. But yeah, I'm going to let you take over, Stacy.
No, you know what? I think that a lot of the conversations that I've been having, and Chris, I've shared this with you, people are really wanting to know how to get involved, how to engage themselves. And while there are a lot of spaces where we're saying, let's amplify Black voices, let's amplify melanated voices, let's amplify LGBTQ voices, we have to make spaces for allies to speak to communities that we might not reach. We have to ask a space for, because I think that everyone who's watching this probably has had the experience of someone not understanding them, their lifestyle, or really just someone speaking to their experience before their character even speaks for them. And this is the opportunity that we have, and are presented with, that we can say, we can have these conversations in a way that is real, it's honest, it's safe, and these are our experiences within your community. And this is what we would like to see change. So it is important. It's important for everybody to be speaking and everybody to be talking. But most importantly, Chris, I think that the biggest takeaway that initially I want people to understand as allies is, it is okay to listen.
Mm-hmm.
It is okay to try to understand, or just to give somebody space to speak to their experiences. So that's what this is about. And just the same as you all will be learning about us, we will be learning about each other. I have had the privilege of being introduced to our two speakers very briefly, but just in the conversation that we had before this Zoom started, it let me know how important it is to have conversations with people. We can look on social media and assume that we know someone else's culture, or we know who they are, or we see on the media, you know, who people are, but to truly have a conversation with them, to take a minute and see their humanity, is really the basis of these spill the tea talks. And Chris, you know, when we started talking about a space to kind of have these conversations, the spill the tea is I'm sure I'm probably preaching to the choir right now, but spill the tea is like a colloquialism that they use in gay Black culture, and I'm here for it. Like, I have on my throw-in shade hat, and we all know what that is. Like, we all use these colloquialisms, but it's like we also have to speak to the people who are a part of that culture. Like, you know, we can't benefit from gay drag culture, gay Black drag culture, and not stand up for our Black siblings. We can't use, you know, we can't participate and not protect. So this conversation in Pride Month, to start out the spill the tea, is just like, you know, just wrap me up and send me off. I'm good. Like, I'm just so happy. Like, I just truly am.
It is. Well, you know, it does feel like there's so, you and I've been talking about, you wake up and there's something the next day, there's something more the next day, there's something even more the next day. Just when you think that really, how many more layers, you know?
For sure.
And so hopefully, like, we've had a, what did we call it earlier? Like a good karma day. Like, there was some
Yes, a good energy day.
a good energy day. There were some rays of sunshine coming through for us, like personally, and some experiences that Stacy was having. What was that? You were telling me about that conversation you were having with a friend who grew up in predominantly, you know, a Black culture and didn't grow up around a lot of white people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to, I was speaking to them. I had an interview earlier today, and I expressed to this person that I have a lot of patience. I probably have more patience than I should with people, because as a Black woman growing up in West Virginia, I know what it's like for people not to grow up proximal to culture, if that makes sense. And that's no, you know, that's no shade. That is absolute truth. And I spent my summers in Mississippi, so I grew up around people who had never been around a white person before in their life. And one thing that I observed very quickly is people formulate opinions on other groups and other people based off of the limited amount of experience and knowledge that they have from each other. Now, of course, I watched a Law and Order episode last night, which has changed my whole life, but it just really spoke to why people feel the way that they do. And to be honest, in 2020, we just don't have space for that anymore. We don't have space for people to be willfully ignorant or willfully discriminatory or biased, because we've come too far as a culture and as a group and as a people of living our lives out loud, right? Like, I mean, there was a time that, you know, gay Black people did not have a place in society because Black people were just looking for rights, let alone to be an out gay person or, you know, an out transgender person or out whatever that spoke to them. They didn't have space because we're still trying to figure out civil rights for Black people, period. So in the conversations that I'm having with white people, or the conversations that I'm having with people who feel like, you know, we're supporters and we know, like we've got it all, I tell them all the time, just in the time that I've spent on the Pride board, I will never tell you guys that I got it. Like I hear what you're saying. I got it. I know. As somebody who is an ally and as somebody who is participatory in the culture, I constantly have to learn. I constantly have to evolve. So to me, intersectionality is important so that people can see, hey, here's how I benefit from this thing, and here's how I actively can work to change it. Here's how I benefit from, you know, if it's white supremacy, if it is bias, if it's gender bias, if it is, you know, hate crimes against LGBTQ communities. I need the people who are around me and who are organizing for me to be just as vocal and just as active. Chris, you know, I tell you all the time, I love to challenge conversations that people have. Just, you know, well, I'm all for people living out their lives, but people don't have to be so this, or people don't have to be so flamboyant, or they don't have to be so loud, or they don't. How do we get to police how people live their lives? And furthermore, let's back it up. Who would feel comfortable living like that? Who would feel comfortable, you know, with all that we've gone through with women's rights, with gay rights, with civil rights? In 2020, who wants to go back to living how they were before, where they couldn't be themselves? And I think that this conversation, I think that unfortunately, the videos and the videos that we see and the conversations that we're having are really going around, you know what? Something bigger is at hand. There's an abuse of power. There's a loss of humanity that's happening to people that shouldn't be happening. So that's where we really want to take these conversations. You know, once we get down into the rabbit hole of who's looting or who is doing this or who is back behind that, let's back it up. Because we have a conversation that we have needed to address for a long time. And hopefully we get to do that here this evening.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully. It's inspiring. I mean, Stacy and I have been getting excited over this, and when we bring Akasha and AJ on here in a little bit, they're excited too. Because you know, and even Stacy's talking about, and I've talked about how the conversations that Stacy and I have been having, and I tell you, AJ and Akasha, I mean, I've been having those conversations with them too, and I realize that's coming from an ally. You know, I'm an ally. I try to be the best ally that I can be.
Yeah.
Can I improve on being an ally? Sure, I can. I think we can all improve, you know, how we express our the anatomy of an ally. You know, what we're doing. But I think that just basic human decency, talking to your neighbor. I mean, those tough conversations. You know, I was in a conversation with some friends the other day, and they were talking about the demonstrations and all the violence in the demonstrations, and no one was talking about the peaceful demonstrations, or no one was talking about what turned it violent. Mm-hmm. And so I said, and now mind you, no one was saying anything that was cross or sideways, or, you know, just in the moment of like, did you see this and did you read that sort of conversation. And I said, you know what? I said, you're talking about all this, but let's think about why it's happening.
For sure.
You know, it's the disease that needs to be addressed, not the symptoms.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
You have to address the symptoms, but if you keep doing that, you're not focusing on the disease. or it doesn't go away.
That's right.
You know, it spreads elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's malignant.
And I think that, Chris, that's what we preach amongst each other, and that's what we've seen even at my first Pride Festival in Charleston. I know that was a part of the conversation. There were protesters, and people approached those protesters in many different ways, but there was never a loss of humanity. And I think that the insidious, I may or may not be saying that right, but the culture of racism isn't just people like saying, I blatantly outright don't like these types of people. Just like we know that a hate crime against someone who is gay doesn't have to be somebody who says, I hate gay people before they do it. There are folks who have deep-seated issues, and they will try to minimalize by taking out, okay, well, what about the rioting? Well, what about this part of it? Well, what about African Americans getting arrested? Or what about, they ask all of these symptomatic questions instead of getting to the solution of, here's what's going on. And I was actually speaking with a really great friend of mine, and I don't want to give away her identity, but just kind of this respectability politics. Like, if you all were just nice, if you all were just peaceful, if you all are just, and it's crazy because it's like, do you think that no one has tried that? Do you think that there aren't opportunities or there aren't stories that are shared of people who tried to do that, but because racism doesn't matter if you're nice or not, it still happened to them? Those are the conversations that we want to happen. So hopefully, people can see Akasha's stories, people can see AJ's stories, people can listen to my stories, and it can give them some type of insight as to how much work we still need to do.
Totally. And, you know, hopefully it prompts independent thinking,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes.
I mean, I was having a conversation earlier today with one of my best friends, and the conversation was very much a procedural conversation. Well, this is why that's happening. This is why this is happening. And I don't understand this concept, like talking about white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And then proceeds to tell me the thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it sounds to me like you're getting an idea about it, but you're processing it. And you're trying to figure out what it means to you as a white person who because oftentimes, like you were saying, it's not on a conscious level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, there are those complete, I mean, right.
But like you said, it's really just unpacking. These are deep-seated beliefs. This is this is not un-American at all, because I'm the most American West Virginian person that you can see. But someone put that, like, racism is as American as something else. And when I saw that, I was so sad, so disappointed, because for some people, like, I have to explain my Blackness where I go, right? If I walk into a place that's predominantly white, people, the sentiment is, what is she doing here? Like, and is she okay here? Is she going to act like she has some, it's automatically, we are presuming your presence to be negative. That is a problem, because if you presume my presence to be negative, then you're already making assumptions on my behavior. So then if I am a police officer and I see a person of color driving by, and I have this thought in my head that these people are presumably violent, that they are in commission of some type of crime, I may have a bias in my body, in my wherever, that speaks to, I'm going to pull those people over more. I am going to make sure that those people are off of the streets. And that's a problem, right? Because then what happens the time that it is just a child? What happened, Tamir Rice? There are so many examples. Like, I don't want to have to, pull up but of all of these times that some people were laying in bed sleep. So what do you say to that? Then, but if we're not having those conversations, right? If it's somebody called me and they asked me, you know, they said that where they worked, everybody was, you know, really behind the, you know, justice for George Floyd, but they weren't behind the protesting. They weren't behind the looting. They weren't behind. So I'm like, so you were okay with all this stuff that happened beforehand, right? Because we tried to kneel. We tried to peacefully protest. We've NBA players have worn T-shirts on their warm-ups. People have tried very gently and softly to let you know that there is an issue at hand. We've shared our collective stories, so some people are tired. Some people are exhausted, and some people who haven't grown up with any close, well, I can't say just who haven't grown up with any close proximity to white people, because there are some white people that I know that really break my heart when it comes to this. But if we're asking people to believe in a system that they've never benefited from and that has only shown them and their ancestors pain, would you believe in that too? You know, like people coming from coal mines, they don't trust big industry or police, or not coal mine, that was hurt. That there is a history of Appalachian people and police.
Right.
There's a history of industry coming in and taking over West Virginians and exploiting our people. That's a fact.
Right.
And that's black, white, red, blue, green. So when we're talking about that there might be a system that is against people of color, and people are like, that just cannot be, because this stuff is fair. This stuff is sound. It's like, so you just don't want to see it for me, right? You just don't want to see it for us. So that's where people get exhausted and burned out and feel like there's no faith in the system. So if we can restore that for even just a couple people, or just push the conversation so that people are saying, hey, you know what? This is bigger than us. Also, let me say this before Akasha and AJ join. Y'all, Google is free. And I actually wrote this in an article that I did for Generation West Virginia, for, you know, Black History Month, beyond Black History Month. If people can look up recipes, keto-friendly recipes, you can look at, you know, how to groom your designer dog. You can look up Pinterest. You can watch, you know, all the things that are on. You can find all the stuff that we're telling you just as well. Yeah. The guy I was talking to earlier today, he said, you know, people can find the new music, they can find the new dances, they can find all this other stuff, but when it comes time to find information on how to back Black and brown people, they're like, oh, well, we want you to tell us.
Right.
We really would like it if people would exercise their natural right and ability to use the free internet.
Right.
Also as well.
Yep. You know, that is important because, you know, yes, I as a white person, I want to hear your experience and I want to hear your perspective. But I also want to take it upon myself to find out more. Yes. You know, I do. And I hope that I do that regularly. But, you know, and even having these conversations between us, or people watching these conversations, or people that have, you know us in the community here. Mm-hmm. I mean, hearing stories of how Black people have to have a conversation with their children. Yes. There's that conversation. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's mortifying when you hear about it, right? But then, as I'm talking to you, somebody that I love, and personally, somebody that I know and has such an impact on my life, and now we're talking about your two beautiful little girls. I mean, I'm
Oh, you know, I've been, Chris, what do I text you all the time? I'm crying. Like, it's severely, it's terrifying. It's not just scary anymore. It is terrifying. It's terrifying to know that and then too, Chris, when you explain and you share your stories, and people are like, well, Could it have been? You know what? Sometimes, luckily, I made it out of that experience with my life because, Sandra Bland can't tell us what happened. George Floyd can't tell us what happened. Tamir Rice can't tell us what happened. All of these names of people, they can't tell us the other side of the story. But what we do know is that consistently across the board, there are people who are living, breathing, with their freedom, able to tell a story of a time that they were able to be exonerated from murdering a person of color.
Right.
And what, for me, as a Black woman with Black kids who loves, all these things, what does that look like for me? That one day somebody can just possibly do this to me, and if I don't have somebody like you who could speak to my character, or a picture that shows me being really nice, that people will look at that and say, I bet she was doing something that she shouldn't have been doing, because inherently that's how they are.
Right.
Those are the people that I'm hoping that our allies can talk to.
Right.
Because it's worth the conversation.
Yeah. It's mentally exhausting talking to those folks who aren't allies.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
And we always say, if we're always preaching to the choir, how are we going to make any progress? But, the duality of that is, at times, if we are speaking to our allies these things and expressing these things clearly for them and in a personal way, then our allies then speak to other people.
Yes.
Yes. And maybe they have a different way to communicate it. Because it's not on your shoulders to communicate all of that.
For sure. But you know what, Chris, and we talked about this the other day, the conversations that I love to have to make people uncomfortable about sexuality. There are, in our community, there are issues with violence against trans people. There are just a myriad of things that we have to address. So I task it upon myself. Anytime I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, in the presence of somebody and they make an off-color comment about how they feel about trans people or sexuality or any of this, I want all that smoke. Let's talk about it. Like, man, male, female, whoever, let's get the conversation, and I always lead with, do you know how many trans people of color die at the hands of people who make comments just like you? And you know what, Chris? Every time it gets people uncomfortable. Every time there is a visceral reaction to someone saying that your nasty comments could possibly lead to someone else's loss of life, and I will never not say it. I won't. I will never not speak up for a group of people who is being faced with some type of violence unnecessarily because somebody's ignorance. You can't, I want, like I tell people, I want all that smoke. Tell me what you were saying, because did you hear about this trans woman of color who died? So we're talking about this, but we're also not talking about the fact that she didn't have free agency over her life, just like right now you're joking about. So allies are important. And anytime I say that, people want to know, well, are you lesbian? Well, are you gay? Well, are you trans? And you know what I tell them? It doesn't matter. None of that matters. This conversation is about you and your ignorance and how that perpetuates a cycle of violence for the group that we're talking about. Y'all, if that wasn't an introduction.
I was going to say.
An introduction to talking to your friends about racism. When you hear people make off the color comments, or I bet they're just coming in here too, or and people always play it off with, it was just a joke. And you're way too sensitive and you need to stop. But when, maybe if people weren't dying, I would stop bringing it up. But when that starts happening, I'll let you guys joke as much as you want to. Right now, it's not a joke. So letting people know that, I'm firm and I'm serious. I don't like that. And you need to check that.
Yeah.
Voila, we're fixing it.
I love you.
I love you. Let's bring on Akasha and AJ, because I am
See, when Stacy, again, we talk, we gab, we're spilling the tea. And
yes.
You see my Huntington Pride cup?
Shout out to Allie. Love Huntington Pride.
You love Huntington Pride. Oh, I have a Morgantown Pride button on. However, it's their first logo. So I need And then I have Fairness West Virginia's Faith is Fairness, right?
Yes.
And I have WV Free, West Virginia Free, had the pronoun buttons.
I love that. I love it. Yes.
I love it too.
See,
So,
we're pushing the conversation forward.
I tried to gay up my kitchen, but that's.
I saw that. I saw it.
I mean, I do have some rainbow things elsewhere, but that's, you know.
It looks great. I'm like, it looks great, honey.
Well, guys, I'm going to, if I don't ruin this, I'm going to add Akasha and AJ to the conversation, because I know these two are probably chatting with each other saying, "Why? Let us in, let us in."
Yes.
I love them. I was on a chat with them last night, and it was wonderful.
I'm so sad that I missed out on that, because I bet that it was.
You have, like, you have no idea. It was. I love these two. Yes.
What's going on, Chris?
Hey there, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to Aj the Mirage, AJ Fleming. AJ, and I'll let you talk about yourself if you feel the need. Can you hear me? Introduce you to Aj the Mirage. Don't watch Facebook. Facebook is on a lag. It's on a delay. So don't watch Facebook. If you get the need, can you hear me?
Hello.
There's a lag when we broadcast the Zoom into Facebook. Facebook is maybe like 20 or so seconds behind us.
Mm-hmm. I see you talking.
Perfect. And then we have Akasha Karmichael. Akasha is a former Miss Rainbow Pride of West Virginia. She's held a couple other titles too. And AJ is a former Mr. L Pride of West Virginia. The title that we now have is a Mr. Pride King. Can you hear us, AJ?
No.
You were doing so good earlier, like before we went live.
But yeah, now it's all low. Like, I can hear you, but it's low. Like, I got my volume up and everything.
I do too. I'm sorry. We're going to lean in real close.
Let's get close.
We're spilling the tea. So, Stacy, I'll just let you.
Yeah, so for sure, I wanted you guys, I mean, and I know that we just got acquainted right before the call, but I wanted you all to be able to give your introduction, your own introduction about yourselves and what you want people to know about you before we get started.
Who wants to go first? We'll have Akasha go first since AJ can't hear us.
Yeah.
AJ can hear y'all. AJ just playing.
No, for real, I can hear y'all, but like I said, it's real low.
Okay, well, introduce yourself, AJ.
My name is Angela, you know what I'm saying, but I go by AJ. I'm a lesbian, 32 years old, originated from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I became Mr. L Pride in 2014, and I'm a jolly person. I'm a cool person. That's really about it. I'm sweet and kind. If you get to know me, I look rough, but you know, whatever.
AJ looks rough, but AJ's a big softie.
I am.
Yes. Akasha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, you know, I'm Akasha. Everybody knows me. I'm Miss West Virginia, everything. I try to be anyway. I love West Virginia. I'm originally from Kentucky. My dad's side of the family is from West Virginia, so when I got 18 and I decided to move to West Virginia and live the West Virginia life, and I love it, and I loved it so much that I embraced it to the point where I just try to enter every pageant that has to deal with West Virginia and try to, you know, be a part of everything that is West Virginia. I've traveled the world and I still end up coming back to West Virginia.
And you know what? And that part of you all's story, I really wanted to touch on, if you guys don't mind for a hot second, because I love the fact that West Virginia keeps people. You know, we always talk about the stories of people leaving West Virginia not being for us. We're looking for diversity. We're looking for another life. So if you guys don't mind, if you want to take just like a couple minutes and tell us what keeps you here, what kept you here, what keeps you here.
Um, I don't know. I know that for me, I've left West Virginia, and like I said, I went to Texas, and I've been to Georgia, and Chicago, Ohio. I've been all kinds of places, and I've seen the different crime in different places. But it was just like, I guess it's like what originally brought me to West Virginia. When I came here, I went to a bar. It was called Trax Nightclub. And it was the first time where I seen Black people and gay people hanging out together. And that just completely, I ain't gonna lie, part of my friends, that
Right.
completely threw my shit all up. I was like, what's going on? I ain't never seen this. Here I'm a nervous wreck because I see what we would call a thug over here in the corner, and he's looking at me, but he's not being mean to me. So, and I was cool with that part. And that initially is what made me stay in Charleston. And the fact that I came from Kentucky and could walk the streets of Charleston just as I am. And really, truly, I don't have a problem. I know that other girls have had a problem in the past and stuff, but just for me, generally speaking, I don't have a big problem with walking and being transgender around anybody around here. So that's what makes me really. I feel safer here. Even though I know Texas has a bigger transgender population than West Virginia, I still feel safer in West Virginia than I do in Texas. So it has a lot to say for West Virginia until you have a governor that said stupid comments like he did today. But that's another thing.
I can't even.
Yes. AJ, what's keeping you here?
Well, I came here for school. I went to Job Corps at 2007. And then I went from there to Washington, D.C., but something brought me back, you know what I'm saying? The people were kind. I always thought of West Virginia like the hills have eyes. You know what I mean? But when I actually got down here, people were genuine. I mean, you had your nasty people, but, overall, it's a nice place. It's very comfortable. And I just stayed down here, really. Became home.
That is, you know what? I don't think that we speak to that experience as much with truly having just the accepting, loving environment here in West Virginia. I told Chris,
Right.
like while I was, of course, crying as always, with him on the phone earlier, I was pulling into a parking spot to go to lunch with my friends, and I'm trying to fish around for change and talk to Chris, and my stuff's dropping out of the car, and there was a younger white woman in front of me, and she was just stopping and staring. So I kind of look up, ready to give her the stank eye, like, what are you looking at? But she says, if you want to pull ahead, my spot has an hour and 30 minutes. I was going to run in this building, but they're closed. And I was like, Chris, oh my, but there is a spirit here that exists within these mountains, I think. And you all really spoke to that. And I tell people all the time, please come to West Virginia. Just come and see what it's about, because I think that the stereotype is, it fits into the West Virginia narrative, the national West Virginia narrative. Who we are as people, we're not accepting, we're not friendly, you can't walk around as yourself. But the reality is there are people that are transplants that come here that feel more comfortable here than they do where they're from. So
Right.
you all sharing that speaks to what our community looks like and how we can be, right? Naturally. So I just, that experience is something that I really wanted people to have here, that there is a community of inclusivity, but also with that comes behavior that we can be accountable for, right? I'm sure that there are experiences that you all have had that you've been like, okay, we can work on that. You
I
know?
could not wait. I was listening to you and Chris talk, and listening to you and Chris talk, and Chris talk, and no. And as I was listening, you know, there were so many things that was just boring me, because the one thing that I always say is this. Think of this. Why is it that we have to be looked at as, are we going to do this or are we going to do that? Why does that even have to be an issue? If we're supposed to be equal, then that shouldn't even be something that's even possibly in your head to even think about. I should just, why is it that you have to say, is she gonna come in here and act ghetto? Is she gonna come in here and do this? Are they gonna steal something from me? Or why is that part there? So when you start right there and nip that part in the bud, because I'm so tired of people saying everything is so equal and everything is, but it's not. Our own community. I'm sitting here listening to y'all talk about, me and AJ have had our own talks about how I feel about the Black community. And before I was transgender, I was a Black man. And I did, do all kinds of things with the Black community. My family started a march in Ashland, Kentucky that still goes on, the Martin Luther King March. And my family started this march, and I was in charge of it with my family. And then when I became transgender, they kind of did not want me to be a part of it anymore. When I became transgender, a lot of the Black community didn't look at me to be a part of them anymore. As like I was telling AJ, why do I feel that I want to march with you if you don't even recognize me? And that's a thing that I can't get behind.
Now I'm going to ask this difficult question, and I'm sorry, Chris, if I'm speaking out of turn, but one question that I have anytime, because there is a big intersection with the Black community and LGBTQ, like there is much as,
absolutely
there is. And first I want to say, we had this conversation before we got on. There's a big conversation in our community, and you don't speak around the children a certain way, right? That the parents don't speak around the children. But in this conversation, it's necessary, because I need white people to know that we in our community have these conversations. Like, and I'm not saying that in this conversation with us, I'm going to fix anything. But if we have these conversations about what needs to be changed in the Black community, there is no way, shape, or form that you guys are telling me that you can't have conversations on what needs to be changed in your community and how you treat people who don't look like you. So I'm going to start that first. I'll start that first, because we're going to talk about it, but I'm going to start. There is a willful ignorance, and this is not to offend people individually. This is culturally, that people will have to things that don't involve them. Outwardly, sometimes, because we know that there are a lot of people who are living in the gallows, which is fine. But there comes this, I really want to exhume someone else's issues. I want to say, oh, because you are a Black trans person, like that's not what we're doing over here. But it's like, at the end of the day, if you decide, you know what, why would I march with the Black community? Because you all don't have Black trans women's back. Then who do you march with? Then who has your back, right? And that's what I tell Black men all the time. We talk about each other, right? And we, Black men, they wear weave, they got this problem, they got woke. But at the end of the day, who's woke saving y'all, right? So you have to march with us. When we're talking about, we don't want trans people, we don't want LGBT, like we don't want that community. So do you think that they're not going through the same thing because their struggle is moderately different? Because at the end of the day, when you walk into a room, people aren't seeing anything else than what you are presenting, right?
Exactly.
And I think that that's what you were speaking to. Whenever I walk in a room, why do you automatically assume I'm going to be ghetto, or I'm going to be violent, or that this Black man is going to steal, or that
I'm going to steal, right?
you assume that there's a lawlessness, and I think that I shared this with Chris. Ava DuVernay said that the problem is in the white community, there is a perception that white people are presumed innocents. There's a presumed innocence that comes along with them, right? Because then if, Akasha, if you go somewhere and you say, well, I was refused service at Bob Evans, people can say, well, maybe they were busy, booked, maybe they weren't in a good mood, They'll give you all the reasons why your experience wasn't your experience. Instead of saying, you know what, that was just really fucked up, regardless of what the reason was. So and that's why I felt it really important to be involved with the Pride Board, because there are conversations and there's a voice that needs to be had that needs to go beyond surface, right? Deep.
Right.
Our community has a lot of stuff that we need to talk to and work out, because you know what, for a long time it wasn't safe for people to be gay and black. Let's be honest.
Yes, that's what we were discussing.
Like you're barely keeping your life as a black person. So then people are wanting to be protective, right? My son can't walk out here as a gay male. He can't walk, because then the world's definitely going to have a target on its back. So those are conversations that, and I said this earlier, I don't think it's right. Interracially, that's not right. Intercultural, whatever, like black people between black people, we really need to sit down with, because we're not at the point that we're surviving anymore, right? We're thriving. We're thriving. Akasha, you, like, literally as soon as the video turned on, the first thing that I noticed was your beautiful brown skin and that pink that you have on. Like, forget anything, like and when I saw Chris, the first thing I noticed about him was that this is the most gorgeous, tall, perfect haired man that I've ever seen. That's when I see people, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, oh, well, Akasha is going to be this, because you know what? When I do say that, that speaks to something deeper that's wrong inside of me than that will ever speak about what's inside of you. So those conversations, I want to really make sure, because we do have people who are, you know, tuning into this, and that's what they use to discredit us. That's what they use to discredit our issues. Well, what about black on black violence? Well, what about black people, LGBTQ? Well, you know what? We have a lot of stuff to fix, just like, you know, the Catholic Church has a lot of stuff to fix, right?
Solid, right. But we have to be united.
That's right.
In order for us to unite with anybody else.
That's
period.
Right. And two, we have to call it out, right? Just like if they call out a black male, if they say, we had a conversation, I told Chris about this because I was so mad. We were watching like the Migos, and they had like a designer bag. And they were like, you know, that's so blah, because he's carrying a purse. And I said, so somebody's utility, because you don't know that that's their bag. Like, you don't know how he's swinging. Like, you don't know. But you seeing that triggered something inside of you that has more to do with that man and that bag than anything that's, and we got into it. We got riled up.
But it's taught. It's taught like racism. You know what I'm saying? We were taught in the church that, you know, that's frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? It goes to a whole nother level, but that's just a distraction from what the bigger purposes. You know what I'm saying? Like we all need to come together so we could all be equal, period.
That's right.
If you want the white people to come with us, we have to be united. It's regardless if you're disabled or you're gay, whatever. You know what I mean?
Touch base on what you said to me earlier, AJ, is the fact that AJ had said to me that, you know, that I'm black first. And, you know, and I am black first. So how come black people don't understand that about me? Because a lot of black people don't see me as being black first. And I know that, and even though I know that I'm black first before I'm transgender, there's a lot more black people in the world that don't see that. They see me as transgender first, and they don't give me a chance. And so when it comes time, like I said, there's a couple of videos going around where there's a black girl that was trying to march and stand up, and then she got beat up because here she was just trying to be black first and stand up.
And that's bullshit. We shouldn't even be doing that. You're defeating the purpose.
And that's what I'm saying. I
You know
want
what
to
I'm saying?
march with my people, but how can I march with my people when y'all don't allow me to march with my people? Because at the end of the day, I'm here marching because I'm worried about this person that's over here trying to harm the Black person. And I also got to turn around and watch my Black people that's going to try to hurt me too. Now, what is that about? That's the thing that people are not getting. Yes, I want to be there for everybody. Yes, you said something about the Black trans women of color. Did you scream and get loud and protest that hard like you doing now when there were more and multiple ones that got killed? Multiple, not just one. And it was back to back. And for quite some time, it kept seeming like it was like they was putting it on a clock or on a cycle, like it was one every week or two every week. You heard there's another Black trans woman of color. Hello, they're Black first, remember? So they can't be Black first no more because they're transgender? Is that how this works? I have such a big issue with trying to stand up for the Black Lives Matter movement when and it's not a petty thing, it's not a tit for tat thing, it's a notice me thing. And just as much as they want me to notice them, damn it, you're going to notice me just as much first too. It's a fair trade.
But at the end of the day, guess what? The racist people ain't thinking about your sexuality or their sexuality. They're thinking about the color of your skin. They don't care about that. And that's
the Black people, the racist white people may not be thinking that, but the Black people are thinking that. I know this. There's just nothing you can say to me that's going to make me feel differently about it because experiences have happened. If it didn't happen to me,
as well as with me, but you know what I'm saying?
Progress doesn't happen there. Like, let me first say that progress doesn't happen where we say, you know what, this is how I feel, nobody can change it. Because that's what racist people say to me all day and tomorrow. Like, I'm 33 years into West Virginia, like half of my life in Mississippi. If you don't think all the same stuff that we're talking about in our community, they're talking about inside of theirs. And our division is literally how they are able to say, well, look, they can't even agree on that. So with this stuff that we're talking about, we don't prioritize it. But let me first say this. I've had 0 Black cops pull me over in the egregious, absolutely disgusting, despicable ways that I have been pulled over. Like, no, that's not been at the hands of a Black cop. That hasn't been at the hand. If I have been in a racist environment where I've worked, that's never been a Black person behind that. And that's not to speak to say that Black people don't do things that are wrong. What I'm trying to highlight is, forget everything. There's an abuse of power. That's what we're talking about.
Right. It's a bigger picture than what we're, you know what I'm saying, that meets the eye.
Floyd, when we're talking about the trans, when we're talking about all of these levels, there is an abuse of power. And you know what, regardless who is at the hands of that, if it is somebody that I know personally, that I love, if it is not Chris Gosses, because you know, Chris, I love you, but if it was you, Chris, I wouldn't have a problem with checking you. Like, if it was, you know, my friends, if it's, so that type of conversation, I will say, I give you your space to feel how you feel because I can't live your experience.
Right, I can't, right.
That from a perspective of, we're trying to get equity, not trying to be mean or to downgrade our position in society. Black people aren't going to be able to give other Black people equity. White people are going to be able to give us that. Them talking to their systems about, okay, well, you are talking about Black Lives Matter and you are talking about that you support people of color, but there's no people of color in your organization. If I get up there and I'm like, well, you know what a Black man said to me, they're going to be like, oh, okay, bye. You know, that's a whole nother conversation, because at the end of the day, I'm standing up for men. Shit, like, I'm standing up for people who don't support me. I'm standing up for communities who have turned their backs to me. But at the end of the day, I don't get down with an abuse of power. I don't get down with people who know that they can structurally take down a group of people due to whatever thought that they want to have, and they can hide behind this ambivalence. I think that I'm using that right. Like, oh, we just didn't know. Like, well, the officer, well, maybe he could have just had a bad day. But Black people don't get to have a bad day, right? We don't get to walk into spaces and my face is mad because I'm upset right now. We walk into a meeting mad and people are like, ooh, like,
scared, intimidated,
angry.
like,
she's angry and she's going to do something. Or a man
Right.
that Martin is walking down the street, he's going to do something to me, so therefore I have the power, and I can abuse my power to later be exonerated. But you catch a black man on the street, and if he has a joint on him, you don't care where he got it from, if he was going to smoke it, if he was delivering it, if he found it on the floor, because you know his black ass is going to jail. So I save a space for black people, and there, you know, I'm sorry, but I save a space for black people, and we can talk about that. But today, right now, what we really want to make sure that we are speaking to is these people. Hold on before my little battery dies. It fell out.
See, we're getting in it.
That's how we do it. I love it. Love it. You know I love this.
Yeah, like, I mean, but truthfully, like, they can't, you know, they're not in a position to possibly, you know, stop that for us or not. So while we can fight multiple battles, we can be concerned about multiple things all at one time, but this part of the conversation is when there's an abuse of power and there's a structural change that needs to be had.
But the structural change is, though, honestly, white people do see these things. They see, if we can, it starts with us first. How can we expect people to see us how we want them to see us if we don't? Because they're seeing us divided, like you just said. If they see us divided, then how can we even expect them? So we have to fix us first. We can't say we're trying to get to this part of the bigger picture if we're not fixed here first, because they're looking at us saying, and I don't mean to keep pointing at you, Chris, because you're the only but they're looking at us like, well, shit, they ain't got their shit together. They don't even like each other. They don't even want to be with each other. So why do
let them kill each other? Let them, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Why do we want to give them anything? Why do we want to be a part of them? And that's like, we have to fix that first. I think Stacy's present.
You know, I think it's, if I can say something.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's not, you know, the only reason I'm interjecting is, you know, it's, and I feel bad that Stacy, I wonder if the storm is over where she lives, because she's totally frozen on the screen now, poor Stacy. But, you know, I had pointed out to Stacy earlier today that I'm seeing so much more, even photos of people protesting and people in the Black Lives Matter movement that are holding signs and sharing and speaking to Black trans lives matter, you know?
Right.
And even to speak to Akasha, what you were saying about, you know, what folks like me see from the, you know, from a different cultural standpoint. You know, I've had conversations with other white people, and they're like, well, they want us to fix that, but what about this, that, and the other over here? And I looked at it, and I'm like, okay, Black people are human beings. Like, there are issues within white culture, within Black culture, that they already are having these conversations and working on. But there is that greater issue of systemic racism, of bias, of, you know, oh, Stacy. What a bad time to, like, technology and
freeze, because she was on it.
I know.
And I feel what you're saying.
That's my point.
Right.
You're proving exactly what I'm trying to say, is that we have to fix ourselves first, because other people are watching and other people see.
That we can't even get along simply because of our sexuality. What does that have to do with the bigger issue of everybody being equal, period? You know what I mean? Like, that's the bigger picture.
Well, and there are, I tend to be a more, you know me, I tend to be a optimistic person, right? And I think that there are so many multiple layers within any community. And I think that, you know, even when we're talking about even when we're talking about LGBTQ rights and parades and protests and all the lobbying work that, like, Fairness West Virginia does and all these sorts of things, and our allies, still within our gay community, we have divisions. And we have lesbian groups that don't circulate with gay male groups, and vice versa. And trans folks are misunderstood in gay culture just as they are with our straight counterparts. And those are things that under our tent of what we're trying to give a voice to and what we're trying to give visibility to, you can move forward. You have to look at yourself and you have to reflect and say, how can I address this? And you know what, you two, you know, being a lesbian and being a trans person, I mean, there is, what I've witnessed with you two is how you use your voice too, even within your own Black community and the people that you socialize with, and how you speak to life and how you speak to your experiences. Because I see you guys doing the work. You know what I mean? I see you guys contributing to try to make it better. And hopefully us even just talking about this today will start conversations that people are watching this and saying, you know what, she's right. Or you know what, listen to what AJ's saying. Because you're both you're on the same side. You know what I mean?
Right, but we just have two different opinions about everything. And that's okay. And that's okay to do. Everybody has an opinion.
It is. And you know
everybody has an asshole, you know what I mean? So, you know.
And it makes...
I'm not trying to get everybody to listen. I'm not trying to get everybody to be on my side. I just want people to understand that, you know, if I see something, I'm going to call you on it, because that is my job, is to call you. If I'm a Libra, I always say, if it's not equal and fair for everybody, then it's not fair for everybody. The thing that we're talking about in the Black community also works in the gay community. It's like the gay community not coming together. You know, there's gay guys that think, well, I don't want to be with somebody that's too femme. I don't want to be with somebody that's too masculine. But then as soon as Halloween comes on, they're the first people to put on some hair and some heels. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's things like that we have to quit. We have to quit segregating.
Being hypocritical.
You know, we want people to accept us in the gay community, and we want people to accept us in the Black community. But we have to start accepting each other in both communities. We have to start loving each other love her because she's extra flamboyant. Love him because he's a straight man that likes to do nasty things. I don't care. You know what I mean?
It's an ego and pride thing, you know? It's an ego and pride thing. Like, let's be real. Some brothers have been on a DL with trans women, and they get embarrassed about that. And you know what I'm saying? And when they're around their boys, you know, they got to be hard and, you know, oh, I ain't a faggot or da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? We got to, if you are, you are. So what? Why does it matter to your homeboy that you getting dick in the booty? Excuse my French, you know? That's your business. You know what I'm saying? That's your business. But what Chris was saying earlier about how the LGBTQ is so segregated, but when, you know, hate crimes started happening to them and things of that nature, what did they do? They all came together, whether they were pansexual, whether they were transgender, or whether they were lesbians. They all came together, you know, to get our same-sex marriage and the things of that nature, you know.
Why it takes somebody to get a bottle, smack upside the head before they come together, number one. And number two, they're not.
I don't know. I'm not.
The Black community, we're not going to do that. So, like, and Stacy, I don't know if you were here, Chris had just was speaking to us. He said that at one point in time, he's talked to some white people that do say the same thing that I was just addressing. We're not together in the Black community, so how are they going to even try to?
No. Stop. Full stop. Full stop. No.
What
that's not how. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We are not the majority, right? So, and I'm not negating what you're saying, Akasha, because I did when my computer died. Now I'm on my iPad. But I wanted to tell you, you are valid in what you were saying. Like I 110% hear that, because it is a concern. But what I will say is that that's the part of the conversation, is the reason why I was getting to that, is because too many, and just for the lack of better term, too many white gays sit around and talk about what's wrong in our community, and they think that they don't have to be, like, you guys are just as much complicit and really participatory in it, because you hear your friends say these things. So when people come and they're talking about, yeah, y'all got y'all's problems too, that's not how we fix shit in America, right? That's not how English people came over to America. The Boston Tea Party, white people are ghetto too, okay? Like, let's talk about
yes, they are.
We're from
Look.
wait a minute though. Let me look. We spilling the tea because I'm almost halfway finished. White people
Go ahead.
in your riot whenever WVU loses a damn game. They have burned couches, okay? And nobody spoke to their humanity, right? Those kids who burn those couches, Chris, I bet they
Oh, they're just kids.
somewhere. I bet that they didn't go to jail a single damn day. But you know what? A black man in Atlanta who's protesting, who decides to be out somewhere, he might lose his damn life. Just trying to get other white people to recognize something that we have known all along. We are people too. So when we get to, oh, well, you know, people in the white community are talking, you know what? Y'all can talk about y'all stuff and we'll talk about our stuff. But together, collectively, what we need to come together and do, if we're really about love and we're really about people living their truth, right? Because that's what the LGBTQ community is coming together to say. We're living authentically as we would like to. I would like to walk down the street as my black ass self, no matter where I am, right?
Thank you.
I want to have my skin. I want to have my kids to be whatever they need to be. But you know what I'm constantly tasked with as a black mother, having to answer to people's ignorant comments like that. Like, well, what about this? And well, you know, well, there are so many. I told Chris, my daughter had a D and she was supposed to have an A. And when I went in to talk to the people at the school about that, their immediate reaction to me was, girl, calm down. Like, first, before you start, calm down. That's why we're having this conversation. We're not having this conversation because black on black violence. We're not having this conversation because what's wrong in the black community. We are having this conversation because there is an abuse of power that's happening in these structures that's not benefiting black people, and it's causing people to lose their lives. Now, if that goes to, you know, slavery and how we have been crushed to be, you know, between the house, we y'all know, we know the house and the field. Y'all know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes,
Right.
They've been separating us for a long time and benefiting off of us being separated.
But they kill it all the same.
Okay?
Yes.
We think we're in different groups. We think that, oh, we're over here with, you know, the Black Women Matter. Like, not to those guys that say this to, you know what? I'm standing up for all black people. Because guess what they don't ask before they kill us? Are you gay?
Right.
Are you a kid? Did you grow up with?
Right. That is the bigger picture. Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
And I will say this to you too, and anybody who's watching it. Anytime somebody tries to come to you and ask you about the humanity of a group, a whole entire group, and how they live before they can get justice, ask them why they think that we need to have respectability politics. Gay people don't have to be good gay people to live out loud, right? How many bad people do we know that exist in the LGBTQ community? But we don't say our rights are paused until those people meet us, right? Until we stop selling drugs in our own community, killing our own, until we stop leaving people as single mothers, whatever people like to talk about when they get together. Fuck that. Y'all didn't get y'all stuff right before y'all had rights. When y'all decided you all were leaving Europe and you wanted to come to America to rape and pillage communities of people of color who already lived here, y'all didn't have to get y'all stuff right, so we're not getting ours right first. I want the justice, then I'll fix my community.
Exactly.
That's the tea.
That's the tea. Cheers to that shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yes.
Damn.
I love it. I think that at the end of the day, I sit and I listen and I say, why is it that we have to, like you said, why is it that we have to feel that we have to ask for permission? You know what I mean? Who set the standard? Why is it that who, and I don't mean it to you, but why is it that they feel that the white person of the white man is the standard, and then we have to go by him to feel like this is right or this is wrong? And I don't understand that.
Because they have that power, unfortunately. They have that privilege that we don't have.
I don't understand that. I don't understand. I don't get that. And it's not even like I'm trying to be a racist thing. It's just trying to understand. Why do you feel?
It's just reality. It's reality. It's not It's not being racist. It's reality. There's white privilege out there. People are aware of that shit, and some people care and some people don't, and some people take it to their advantage.
Well, historically, let's be real though, because I think that too, a lot of the questions are like, where did this come from, right? Like, who started this? Did we start asking for white people's permission first, or did they create a culture to where we had to live respectably?
That's where slavery came, right?
Yeah, like I know for my family, like my grandmother came from Mississippi. There's nothing tying her to West Virginia other than she wanted to make a change, and she had to live respectably for anybody to be able to give her a chance. So when we look and we say, ooh, like black people, like we are bad with the gay community, we're bad with this and we're bad with that. Well, let's go to the top of the river and see where this shit started. It didn't start with us. Like, we inherently didn't say, oh, well, all gays are bad. We didn't inherently say wearing your hair straight is bad. We didn't inherently say all these things. These structures were set up long time ago by white people, and we adopted them, and we've gone with them to keep safe, right? My grandmother still, listen, she does not like her nappy hair, honey. She will put a perm in it in a hot second, because you know what? For her to be able
That's what they taught her, to hate herself. To hate herself and everything, and we gotta be better than that.
Because I'm gonna tell you, my grandma's probably one of the most confident. It's the most that your blackness cannot come in the room with you, honey. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that can't come. You can be up here at the University of Wisconsin getting your PhD, but honey, that hair, we need that to be straight. So then now, I see it in Black culture whenever we're having conversations with, and I hate to call them out, but the Breakfast Club and stuff where, well, Black women in this weave, well, we've always been told it wasn't okay for us to wear our hair how it grows naturally.
Right, so we got to do something else. The next thing is putting weave in my hair, or extensions or braids. That's not good enough. That's not acceptable in the workplace. Then what you want me to do? Be bald? I mean, shit.
It goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that.
It's always gonna be something, but we have to start somewhere. When slavery happened, unfortunately, white people had all that power. And then, after the Jim Crow era and the Civil Rights Movement, that was our chance to get ahead. And we did. We had Black Wall Street. We had things of that nature. Charleston was pretty much a Black town.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. Not a lot of people know that. And I'm not even from here, and I know that. You know what I'm saying?
Just like my friend just said, we have a HBCU, like a real HBCU in West Virginia, in our Kanawha Valley, that people don't pay any type of attention to. That's the only reason why
it's West Virginia.
That's right. That's right. But you know what though? It's like, I can't fault people for not having the knowledge, and I can't fault people for not having the confidence, and I can't fault people for the people who I can fault, because I can fault the people who are willfully ignorant, the people who are in places of power who abuse that power.
Politics, absolutely.
That part, because you know what? All that exists within our culture, like, I wasn't even aware of how many white people didn't know about Black Wall Street. If you don't even know about those types of things, those types of events in our history.
They don't want to teach that. They don't
at all. Like, they don't at all, because
what? Then when you bring up these conversations about what Black people have, because see, I live in a house with a white man. I have a mixed child, and I have a lot of white friends. And when you bring up some of these conversations with them, they always ask why, like our freedoms, like because we were segregated. I mean, like because we were free, that everything has changed and that we're so equal. So they always ask why. Why do y'all still have those? Why do you need a BET? Why do you need the NAACP? And I get frustrated and tired with trying to explain that, just because some things are okay now doesn't mean that we're supposed to get rid of everything that we started. And it's like, it's a never ending cycle of that's all you hear is, well, well, we don't have a lot of segregation, so why do y'all have this? Why do you need this? Why is there a historically Black college? And you know, you don't need that no more. Mind you, that there was that Black people have
because
always,
a Black child won't be treated equally. That's why we have our own colleges and our own banks. Because if you go to a bank, you know what I'm saying, what's the guarantee? They say, you know what I'm saying, they increase mortgage with Black people and things of that nature, rather than with white people. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of reasons why we should have our own things. We should have our own, you know, as far as doctors and psychologists and things of that nature. We should have that.
the same people that are screaming we should have our own things are the same people that will turn down a Black person because they don't have a certain amount of them. So that'll scream up, oh, well, come to my bank or come to this or come to that, and then they'll not try to help them out.
Why can't we support each other? Why can't we support each other?
But there's always, like I said, it's that division that they put, and I say that they put against, you know, light-skinned Black people and dark-skinned Black people, pretty
Right.
Black people and not so pretty Black people, Black people
Right.
that you know that you got, like, you have to have the good hair, you have to have this, you can't walk around with nappy hair and be natural, because if you don't, then you're not going to get this job because you're not a pretty
Right, you
Black
look ghetto.
You look ghetto. You look, you know, right off the bat, Black people know that when they get ready to go somewhere. When I lived in Savannah, Georgia, it was the first time, and it's a shame. It's a shame that I was amazed by this, what I'm about to say. But it was the first time I ever seen a bank full of Black people, nothing but all Black people working in it. Had Black men with cornrows in their hair, Black girls with their hair out and stuff. And it wasn't just, it was BBT. It was a BB&T bank. We got them all over the place. But it was the first time I ever seen anything like that. And I was amazed. I walked into a plaza where I worked at being running a coffee shop. And I had to be there at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I would go into this closet and I would be and the first thing that came to my head was, and this is because of where I was raised, is, okay, are these people going to think I'm breaking into this place? But a white person would never think like that. You see what I mean? And I thought to myself, oh my gosh. And then I seen some cops pass me as I was walking to my building. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, they're going to pull me over. They're going to think that I'm trying to break into something. And as they passed me, they were two Black cops. That's something that I didn't see either. So, you know, it's like, there's all these things that some people take for granted that they don't see, that they don't understand, that we go through, you know what I'm saying, as Black people.
Like, we don't get paid, you know what I'm saying? Let's be real, we don't get paid as much as a white person does. Let's be fucking honest, you know what I'm saying? Some people don't. You have the same qualifications as them and everything, and they might get a $2-3 increase and you get $1.
That literally just happened.
But why? You see what I'm saying? But why? Why though? Why can't we have that?
And that's what I think. And AJ, I'm so glad that you brought up that point, because that's something that I think bigger picture is power structural that I don't fuck with. You know what I mean? Because excuse me, even in the conversations that we're having about the wage gap, that conversation in itself is something that I know that white feminists, they know about, because they share it all the time. There is a wage gap between what white men earn, and then you start putting everybody else on the list and it just goes down, right? One instant. We can talk about medical disparities, healthcare disparities between people of color and white people. Then once we get into the disparities in healthcare, and when we leave this call, I want everybody looking this up, because this applies straight to me, and this is what I'm speaking to. As a Black mother who has gone in to have babies, to have such an experience to where I almost didn't get to live out that because of the health care that I received, and to know so many other, not women of color, I'm not talking to them right now, Black women who have had other similar experiences in their maternal health care to where how we bring babies into this world. So we're talking about wage gaps. We're talking about health disparities. We're talking about disparities in housing when it comes to getting loans. When it comes to getting so y'all, I want to, and Chris, you might have a different view on this or where you want the conversation to go, but I really want us to be sure that we know what we're asking for from our audience, because we can get these issues conflated all day. But when we're talking about issues in healthcare, when we're talking about wage gap, when we're talking about this, when we're talking about that, the people that we're speaking to that we have the off issues with in our Black community, they're not the people who we are trying to get that shit from. The people who we are trying to get that from are sitting back watching this like, and I knew there was problems, and I knew that they had issues, and you know what I mean? And that's why they don't have, because truthfully, because even like I told Chris, I called him after I got the conversation from the person that I feel really great about. I like this person, but he called me to really, when it boils down, to say, well, you know, the people that I know agree with you, but while they agree with you, they're just really not for this rioting and they're not for this looting. And after,
but
you know, my heart was like, AJ, my heart was like pumping out of my chest. Because you know what? So then when y'all are speaking to those people, what about me and my daughters? We ain't nowhere doing nothing, but you know what happens with me and my daughters? We still get that same type of judgment. We still get that same type of judgment. And that's why we're mad. And that's why people are frustrated. And that's why people, and you know, I can't speak to other people's pain, just like Akasha, I can't tell you what to feel and what not to feel. But what I can say is this: when I look structurally at what's wrong with this building, it ain't Black people. It's the fact that there is a foundation that our country was built on that doesn't serve anybody else but a certain demographic of people. And every couple of years, these civil rights issues will come up. Every couple of years. And that might not be with the Black community today, because guess what?
It might be with the Latinos next year.
We have migrant children in cages still, if I'm not mistaken. We have people, and we have a whole border crisis. We have Muslims who are in our community right now, LGBTQ community, and we're not speaking to them. So if we keep poking holes in all the logic, well, I can't rock with Black people because they, or I can't rock with Muslim people because they, or I can't mess with gay white men because they. We will be poking holes all day and we won't get anywhere. I want to get somewhere. I want to leave some actionable items that people can take back whenever white people do say, well, what about the rioting? Well, what about the Black community in the church? Well, what about y'all? What about all that you have to fix structurally? But you do know, as a gay male, you don't like when people judge you. You don't like when people keep you out of spaces because of what you are. So that is what I want people to walk away from this conversation saying, you know what? There were some people that were talking tonight, and there are some things that I can do to be helpful as a white person or as a person in the LGBTQ community for our Black and brown people. And here are the items. So when we're talking about progress and action items that we want people to walk away with, what do we want people to have tonight? What do we want people to get out and do now with this information?
You know, I saw this earlier, and I think it was important to areas to diversify in daily life. It's being a good ally. And it says, take inventory of your inclusivity, right? It says, look at your inner circle of friendships. It says, look at the leaders that you're learning from. Look at your place of worship. Look at your beauty standards, your standard of beauty. I mean, how big is that?
Yes.
You know?
Look
at the toys you buy for your kids.
Yeah.
And the businesses that you patronize. Where do you spend your money? You know, we talk about that all the time with gay folk, where you spend your money, but we need to look at the real picture of Black folk, you know?
And you know, Chris, someone the other day asked me, and this was actually, it was a photographer. I would love to shout them out, but I didn't get their okay first. They're a photographer who, when I say they've been preaching inclusivity before any of this even started. Like, they're people who they were raised by good people. But their question was, what are the Black businesses in West Virginia so that I can get this in? Do you happen to have, and then you know what they also added to that? Actually, never mind. I'm going to find it myself And what was so crazy is I had already had it because I actually found it from another white person's Insta stories. So this is where I say this impact is bigger than right? This is somebody has gotten this list together because they're not just saying, let me post this picture, right? Because last year with Pride, I was really like apprehensive about a lot of these companies posting, you know, these rainbow flags and posting this, but enter in your culture at your job. What do you guys, how are you guys having this play out? So when people are saying, I want to buy from Black-owned businesses, because, you know, we in Charleston, we talk about shopping small and shopping Charleston businesses. But you know what I have yet to see, guys, and this is calling out, and this in a good way, calling out. But I have yet to see a blacklist. The YWCA Charleston did something like that with Black-owned businesses, but this should be the norm. Why aren't we talking about how you can help affect change through positive ways? Help support Black-owned businesses.
It's crazy you say that because they don't want to support. You know, they don't want to support each other. Like I was telling Akasha, it's like a tribe, like a tribe effect with the Black community. You know what I'm saying? When you have a business and you try to reach out and, you know what I'm saying, oh, you too expensive, or, you know what I'm saying, why you taxing like that? But Arab or, excuse me, you know, an Arab or a white person can have the same thing and be maybe $2 more, they're going to buy it. Why? You know
But let me, because I don't want anybody to miss a gem that we might take. Let me get to that though. And it's not that I have the answer here. It's that, but let's go deeper down the stream and see why that happens. Because white people and maybe, you know, in other communities, they might have deeper financial wealth than what we have. Maybe a Black-owned business. I know, for instance, people think that I market for free for fun, okay? And I'm not trying to be, that's not just to my community. To be honest, white people ask me the most to do shit for free. But
why is that? Why is that?
Why is that? And why is that?
Why is
Because
that?
we've been doing shit for free for years.
Because we've been doing shit for free for years. But more beyond that, we don't have the resources sometimes to be able to give people. Like we really might not be, or because we live in a place of scarcity, because we've never had that like financial security that, yeah, to give somebody else something might mean a lot more to us than it means to somebody else, right? Somebody else might let you be able to get their event off at their space, and if it goes wrong, hell, we'll fix it. A Black person, shit, you might let your community, you're not, you know, this is whatever, but you might let your community in, the party's messed up, and you have no way to recoup your business. So bigger picture, all I want us to do is go deeper down the stream and see, like, okay, so why is it like that? Why can't we support our own? Because right now I'm supporting you all. Like I don't know what everybody else can do, but I'm supporting people that I don't know. And to be honest, because you all are Black, because you all are a part of my community. So I don't know what everybody else do or how good they are. And just like Chris knows, I mean, the kids that I'm raising, that's what I'm preaching. So I don't know that they are in the Black community.
And
so
that's what I was telling the Gosses too.
Yeah, y'all can't throw away the
hot.
Black community because me and my kids are in it. Period. Like that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I'm raising people who love Uncle Chris because Chris is a person who has been good to them. They don't see race. They don't care. I told them they've been out of Tricky Fish, seen two people kissing. This is not even in their wheelhouse. So it's not just Black people. This speaks to people's personal, individual, fucked up experiences that they have, that they carry on. And while we inter-community wise might do that to each other, racially, there is a reason that people do this to us, and it's because they have the power to be able to, and that's what I need nipped today.
Are we still in a wait your turn culture? That's the thing that I can't understand.
I don't know what everybody, I'm not.
It's always like we have bigger issues to fry. We have bigger issues to fry. Wait your turn. We have this to fry. Wait your turn.
Oh, and you don't have to wait your turn. I don't think that you have to wait your turn. I think that it's important not to talk around white people about Black issues. I don't think that you have to wait your turn. I had a conversation earlier today about black sexuality, and now I'm having this conversation with you all today. I can build these fires, I can multitask, but what I will say is I won't let anybody get off of this table that needs to be at this table. I don't want people to walk away from this conversation thinking, well, they have so many issues in the Black community, they don't know what to ask from us, they don't know what they want. No, I know what I want. Come back and sit down. We might have issues, we might need to talk about a lot of shit, but you know what? I need to talk to y'all because this is worse. My kids can be killed on account of this. Right. My kid, not saying that my child might not die by being out on a lot of other things, but I can say that for a legitimate fact right now, my biggest fear is their interactions with other people who aren't like them, where they judge who they are based off of what they feel about our culture. Because you know what? People say, I'm concerned about the rioting and the looting. They can snap your fingers. They can do all the TikToks. They know all the moves. They know all this about Black culture. So if Black culture is that dangerous and it's that violent and it's that inherently bad, stop participating in it. Gay men, stop trying to walk around acting like you're a Black woman. Just stop.
Please
Leave
stop
us
wearing
alone.
black faces. That's just rude and ignorant.
Then you know what? If we are inherently so
That's
bad,
mockery.
Stop benefiting off of us. And you know what? For all the companies who are benefiting off of us, who are sharing, oh, this is what Ava DuVernay said, or this is what such and such said, or this is what this Black trans woman said, and let's just carry her voice. But you guys have so many issues with the Black community, but you don't care to use our voices to elevate your agendas. So that's who I'm calling out today. That's what my priority is.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that we can do and that we can ask of and that we can explain. But it's the whole explanation. It's the whole, like you said earlier. But we want something from them. Mm-hmm. We want something. I have such a problem with that statement because it's like, all I want from them is to realize that I'm just as equal as you are. That's really basically what I want. I don't want anything different.
So you think that they haven't gotten that message since the
No, they don't got that message.
Started?
No, because they automatically they feel that we are equal, and so no, they haven't got that.
No, the fuck they don't. Where you get that from?
Everyone's
I'm sorry, some dudes. I'm sorry, some do. Don't get me wrong.
The majority of white people think that there's not really a racial problem. Now, there's a bunch of them that do think there is a racial problem, but there's a majority of them that feel like we're fine. That's why we're having this problem right now with people saying that why are we rioting? They don't understand. They don't get it. So, there's a lot more people that are on board with the fact of not rioting and peaceful protest, still not understanding. You see what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
That's part of us having these tough conversations, like right here. Even getting people together and listening and giving a platform and a voice too.
Right.
Because you're right, people don't see a lot of things like that. But some people turn a blind eye because they don't want to see it.
And they don't care. Why is it their business?
Right.
It's not my family. It's not my people.
And so maybe I'm dumbing it down too much from my perspective, but I think with everything that you guys have been talking about, I think it's powerful, and I think it's impactful, and I think that it's obviously it's the beginning of our conversation here within this screen, but I think this is a conversation that's been going on before we came around.
For sure.
And Stacy, let me ask you a question. What do you want? What do you want from, as we used to call it back in the day, the man?
What do I want from the man? Well, structurally, what I want from the man, I think that right now, to be honest, Akasha, I like that you said it like that too. I'm not talking to the man yet. What I have been, at first, when all this started to happen,
did you explain to the people out there who the man is, Stacy?
Oh yeah. So yeah. Let's talk.
Urban Dictionary time.
Yeah. Dropping gems. I wish that I had like a little glossary across here.
You're right.
So the man has been structurally the powers that have held us. It's been oppressive white privilege, white culture, that's the man. You know, when people say I'm sticking it to the man, they're talking to this structure that has existed up over them, and it is a hierarchy of white male privilege, essentially. So when Akasha just asked me, what do I want from the man? Well, I really want to reiterate that I'm not speaking there. I'm speaking to the people of our community, the people who are hearing, who are active, who are listening. I want to tell them that what we want is an opportunity for you all to go to your regions of the earth, to have your big conversations with people, because let me say this, too many people have admitted to me that someone has said an off-color, out-the-way comment to them, and they haven't known how to respond. And nothing gets my blood boiling than that, because now you've left that person feeling empowered and good, and I said what I wanted, and you didn't check them. You let them go completely off. You know what I mean? You let them continue to have that. So I really want to task people with having these conversations. You know what? I just heard such and such and such and such, or I just saw such and such and such and such. And actually, that's not speaking to their experience. Calling it out. Because unfortunately, I know that there are some people who don't have the proximity to people of color, and that's why they have the ignorance that they do. But to be honest, people in power, I'm not going to lie, y'all, I don't give them that excuse. I don't give them the I didn't know. I think that they've heard. I think that if they haven't heard, they've had complaints. I think that somebody's written in. I think that people don't go ignorant truly for too long. So what I would really like for people to see is that these excuses, we're not taking them anymore. We've taken the microaggressive excuses, right, y'all? Like, we've worked somewhere and people have been microaggressive, and then you say something to somebody and they're like, well, are you sure you're not being too sensitive? Like, are you sure you weren't being angry? Are you sure you weren't being this? I'm tired of being gaslighted about my experience as a Black woman or a Black person. I want this to stop. I want you guys to turn around when somebody says, oh, look at them, you know, or they turn their nose up, or, oh, there. Well, why did you say that?
They're people, you know what I'm saying?
That part, check your people. We're checking our people.
Like,
we
what
just
are
had
they
this
doing
conversation.
to you?
Yes, check your people. Because what ends up happening is it's the people who feel like they're good white people. Like, you know, well, I'm not racist because, right, I don't say I hate Black people. I'm not racist, but I tell the Black person that works with me every day to do all my work, and I don't thank them. I don't pay them as much. I talk to them like they're insignificant. I want to check those people. I want those people to have conversations deeper within themselves. So if people could get themselves educated,
yep.
And not educated as in like, I just didn't know. Educated as in like, let's really check into what a microaggression is.
Right.
Let's really watch when they see us and get uncomfortable. Go watch, like, you know what, the next time somebody tells you, what about the rioters and the looters? Go watch when they see us and then come back and talk to me about rioters and looters. Those five
I tell them all the time, you need to go watch Mississippi Burning and then go watch Get Out. That's what I'm talking about.
Get Out is too scary. It's too scary.
Some people won't understand. They won't understand that.
Exactly.
That's not meant for them to understand that. But it is.
You know what? But AJ, they're not going to understand it. But here's what I'm here for. I like to get people uncomfortable, right? Like when I like to dig in that. When I had the conversation about the Migos bag, I knew he wasn't going to walk out of there like, you know what? Oh, because he said, if my son walks around with a purse, I'm going to like smack him, or I'm going to hit him, or you know, just, and you could tell in his mind, it didn't take anything out of his brain. But for me to check him and everybody around me to be like, Stacy, that's enough. Just stop. No, you shut the fuck up. Because it's not enough. Right. Because you're saying that you would assault a child because they have a purse. Mind you, you don't, not that it matters why they're carrying it. They could be putting a rock in it to carry it around. I need to take the rock in the house. But that's your homophobia is so deep down in your system that you said that you would hit your child because of it. And you know what? And I made everybody like that, though.
It's taught like that.
Right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
I made everybody I want people to get uncomfortable. I want you guys to watch those movies and you to watch Get Out. for you to watch A Time to Kill, and you to
Time to
say,
Kill.
oh my God.
To watch Rosewood and to watch, you know what I'm saying?
Imitation of Life, honey.
No, wait, what's the movie with oh gosh, Michael B. Jordan's fine self and oh gosh, he was Oscar Grant. What is that movie?
It's not.
I only watched it once.
Mercy, is it? It's
oh shoot. It's oh god. I can't. It's not gonna come back to me.
For the wrong reason.
Oh, with Jamie Foxx.
Was it in the subway where he got killed in the subway?
Fruit something Avenue.
Fruitvale Station. What? You know what? Actually, everybody, watch Fruitvale Station, because that really takes you through the experience of being a Black man up until the point. And it is I will say, trigger warning, it is a violent murder scene. But this is what people in their communities are seeing. They are completely numb to violence. They're numb to death. They're numb to police officers being, just ridiculous to them. This is what I want you to watch. Then come back to me and talk to me about the rioting in the loop.
We also forgot White Man's Burden.
That.
With John Travolta. Now that's one I
was going to say John Travolta. That's right.
That's one I think that they would really be able to get into, and because there's so many A-list actors in that one, and that one tells such a strong story and message, and it's a reality. It's a wake-up thing because it touches so many levels on what we were just talking about in the Black community, and then it travels into the white community. And then you see what I mean? So that is something that I think that they, honey, I'm replaying the movie in my head.
I know,
honey.
I was going to say, it makes me so emotional.
Right,
even add to our watch list, Boys Don't Cry. Because I'm going to be honest, Boys Don't Cry was the movie that I saw that made me, as a teenager, feel like I need to do something. Like this was not okay. Like that movie really takes you down, and you walk with the character, and you're like, how is hate this deep? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and not hate, hate within our community. That is something that we do need to tackle. But there's a hate that people have for people they don't even know. You feel me? Like they haven't even grown around Black people. They just know when they see you, honey, you ain't their type. You know what I mean? That's what we need to stop. That's what we need to realize, that there are people who feel like that are on police forces, that are doctors, that are in these positions of power, that they can affect life or death for me and people who look like me,
what I'm requesting of you guys is I want that list of what you're all talking about.
Yes. We will spill the tea. Y'all look. We will spill the tea.
Let's create
that. We used to call it Black Movie Sunday, honey. We used to call it Black Movie Sunday. And Lifetime used to have Black Movie Sunday, believe it or not.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did, girl.
Every Sunday we would sit down and we would watch every Black movie, from Imitation to Life to everything, and it would and
they stopped making movies like that, like back in the day, like that really told the truth about racism and about what's going on, police brutality and things of that nature. They stopped making movies like that. They wanted to be hush hush. They wanted divided for a reason.
Well, I'll tell you, I tell you what, I charge you three, and because I know Stacy will give it to me, but give me a list of your movies, like the movies that you can identify with, or that are off the top of your head, or if you have to research it a little bit too. I'm going to do the same thing. And let's put a list out there. I mean, listen, a movie tells a story, and a movie helps moving emotions forward, and a movie challenges the viewer to reflect on a situation and hopefully a palatable way, because, sometimes you need to, spoon feed or baby feed some people, unfortunately.
I found a movie that was made by white people that taught white people how to interact with Black people when they moved into their community. Imagine that coming across my YouTube. I mean, I didn't even know they had movies like that made. And how to interact with the new girl in the office. New girl meaning the Black girl that just got a job at the white office.
I hope that it said that they ask her about her hair, because I think that has to be the top.
To watch these things, and just to realize that some people don't realize that the stuff still happens to this day. When I watched the movie about the man,
and they don't even realize that they're doing it.
When I watched the movie about the man selling his house, and the white people across the street was like, surely he's not going to do nothing to make us mad. Like, what did his selling his house have to do with the neighbors? Number one. And it still goes on to this day. I had to have my husband go and get an apartment one time for the fact, because the man wasn't going to rent it to me, but he rented it.
Right, I've dealt with that too, because I look like a dude, you know what I'm saying, and I'm black.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm discriminated right off gate.
Yeah, I used to.
And sometimes it's even.
Always gonna have a white friend.
Right, and sometimes it's even. I've even tried to run from a couple gay people here, and they've done me dirty.
Oh.
But we all supposed to be in the same. You see what I'm saying? Like, and y'all did me dirty, but you know.
We've got
and gay people are really like snooty gay white people are really mean to black people. They don't want to they're really bad.
You might as well call them a racist.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Like.
See, that's the purpose of us having this conversation. Because
it's some of the things that I've heard them say back in the rooms and being around them. Just some of the little sly comments, the little black comments the little darky, you know, that I'm supposed to laugh off. You know what I'm saying? Just the little comments I'm supposed to laugh off. And if I don't, then I'm being too loud, or I'm being too over. I'm doing too much.
Right. I'm over exaggerating.
Yes,
you're being dramatic.
I'm being too dramatic.
Yeah, fuck all that.
Yeah. But if
that's like with interracial relationships of the gay community. You dating a black man, but you call him a nigger. You know what I'm saying? Like, how the fuck do you do that?
Yes.
Or you call his friends niggers, or hang them by a tree and shit like that. How do you do that? That means you don't even love that person. You just doing it for the dick. Let's be real. You know what I mean? That has to be addressed.
Those are the intercultural issues that exist inside of every community, like truly, because there are so many people who feel that because I am a gay male, or because I am a lesbian, I am therefore completely absolved of being or participating in any type of ism or any type of bias or any type of stereotype. And it's like, but no, y'all be the people. Like, we have to be accountable in our own circles as well. So that's why really, you know, we're tasking people to have this information to go and spread it. Like, yes, this is problematic when we do it. It's problematic when they do it, and we need it to stop, because the bigger picture is I think that there is not a person on this call, or I don't think there's a person that follows Rainbow Pride of West Virginia that doesn't truly believe that they want to push the mission forward. But in that pushing the mission forward, we need people to realize where they are complicit. We need people to realize where they can step up and have those conversations. Like you said, if somebody's in an interracial relationship and you're treating the person of color in the conversation badly, and you're calling it a joke, that's just as bad, because the other people around you might hear that and
and think it's okay to do that. And they get that wrong person. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's what I said about the member AJ. I said that's what I said about our black culture too, because there's so many times that our black culture will sit here and joke in front of his white friend. Like, they even got a song. It's called "Let the White Boys."
Right, you look like Uncle Ruckus. Like, you.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
Yeah.
Like, just trying to show off or trying to be cool. You know what I mean? Like.
When you just made the Uncle Ruckus comment, hold on. Were you talking about the same person that I'm thinking that you're talking about, or not?
From the Boondocks.
From the who? Yeah. Okay. Uncle Ruckus. From the Django. Samuel L. Jackson. Leo's bitch.
I'm thinking about a person who somebody has a screen name and they made an ignorant comment this week, so I thought you were talking about them. We'll talk about that later.
Nah, okay. No,
I'm
I'm
like,
talking about
that was on
boondocks.
brand. I was gonna say you saw that
Just like
too?
an Uncle Tom, basically. You know, a person that
For sure.
is aware that racism is around them, but they brush it off, like, you know, and they
because it
belittle their own
doesn't
kind as well.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
make fun of
That's
you
what we
in
call
front of
Uncle
the
Tom.
white friend, just to make
sure.
themselves look bigger and better, because that's the white friend. And so they're going to clown on you or joke on you or say something funny, and then they're going to laugh just because they're, you know, like they're more important instead of being a sister or a brother. But then when it comes time to
like that's wrong.
unite, they're looking at you like you're crazy when you don't. It's those things there. That's the issue. Like I said, my thing is hashtag accountability. That's what it needs to be. We need to start making everybody accountable for their actions.
For their actions. Fuck yeah.
If it's not like a Libra is, if it's not fair for me, it's not fair for you. You need to be accountable for what you're doing. White people, be accountable for what you act like. You're not dumbfounded. Quit acting dumb.
Right.
We don't we ain't never once thought you were dumb, but quit acting like, oh, did I do that? You ain't Urkel, damn it. You are not Urkel. Yes, you did that. Yes, you did that. Okay?
Right, and you know you did that. Right.
Do you see why?
I was gonna say that Urkel reference. That's what I'm gonna be like. Akasha, you are.
And you know what, guys? I hate to be that moderator type person, but we
have to go.
Well, I mean, it's been, the children are going to be like looking at the.
We get it. We get it. Are you sure?
No, you don't get it.
We have to repeat this to y'all. Oh, and make sure another issue, y'all.
Boom, boom, shake the room. We ain't gonna stop until you hear what we got to say. Now, if
another thing,
loud enough.
Make sure.
Loud enough.
Oh my God, Akasha. So dramatic, Jesus. And another thing, make sure y'all go vote. How are we gonna change things? Like Stacy said, we gotta hit the politics first. That's who has the power. So if you go vote, you know what I'm saying?
Protesting, that same amount of people that's
been on that energy in the protest. When we go and protest, we might as well go vote too. Because protesting, it could change a little bit, but it's not going to change what we really needed to change.
That's right.
They're hearing us, but we need that action to be taken, so we have to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Young ones, y'all have to vote.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You know what? I love this conversation, and I tell you what, and we knew, like when Stacy and I talked about even doing this, you know, we knew it was going to be deep, and it was.
Yes.
There was just a inappropriate joke in there, and I stopped. We knew.
Are you blushing, Chris? You're blushing.
It's spilling the tea. You know, we knew it was going to be tough conversations, and that's why we're calling it Spill the Tea. Because when you get together with your friends and you're talking the real life stuff, and honestly, we've been at this for like 2 hours talking about this, but you know what? It's a much bigger topic, and the conversation doesn't stop. You know, it doesn't.
Right.
Yes.
It didn't even seem like 2 hours. That's how.
I was just gonna say.
Right. It did seem like 2 hours. Don't fucking lie, because I was on hold for like 30 minutes. So you lying right there. But I feel as our conversation. You know what I'm saying? As our conversation got good, you know what I'm saying, time went by, of course, yeah.
No, it's awesome. And I love that people are going to be able to see this conversation because, and I'll be honest with you, you know, I mean, because that's all we're doing is being honest right here.
Right. Brutally honest.
You know, I really hope that no matter who you are, what you look like, how you love, you listen to this conversation and you take something away, or you take away in the very simplest form, have a conversation with somebody else. You know, that's how you're going to learn. I mean, honestly, I've learned as much as I've even conversed with, you know, with the, you know, the three of you and other friends that I have, and I've read, but I learned some new things even in this conversation. You know what I mean? I mean, who has the arrogance to think that they know everything about a culture?
That part.
You know,
that part.
And is every culture perfect? We're not, but we're working toward it. You know?
Right.
You know what? Thank you. I really hate to have to end a conversation like this, like today, because, and this is why, and I know, and AJ, for you and I, it's probably been a hot minute, but when every single one of us get in on conversations like this, or if we're just talking whatever it might be, it's like 3-4 hours later, like Josh is sending me text messages. What are you and Stacy doing? Or did you know, if back when Akasha.
Oh, and also the Juneteenth, they're having a march. So if we want to start, you know what I'm saying, we could start somewhere. LGBT, part of West Virginia.
Yeah.
Let's be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Let's start a revolution.
Chris, we participated in Juneteenth last year, or no? I think that they were going to have something maybe.
We ended up, there was something.
Yeah, something happened last year. Wow. But yeah, so we definitely want to make sure that we are making our presence known, because like you said, conversation is everything, y'all. Like, it brings people
we got to take action.
For real. Like, and telling people what we need. What do we need?
I just got a message. Now, I've received a few text messages while this is going on, and they're all positive and exciting. Now, I'm not trying to pat you three on the back or anything, but
don't make me cry.
I love hearing people getting the message and just paying attention and listening. You know, a friend just sent me a message. Thank you for this discussion tonight. I've really learned so much, and it was nice to just listen to people talk. Talking about the real.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's right.
The real issue, the elephant in the room. We have to talk about the elephant in the room.
That part. That part of the day.
When we do these spill the teas, because this is the first, and we're going to do more.
We're going to be spilling.
Absolutely.
We have a trans talk.
But remember, I just want to say that the one thing that we have to get better, and you know, because trans talk is coming soon, and the Black talk that we're having today. When I was in Savannah, Georgia, I had the pleasure of going to the Martin Luther King parade, and it was humongous. It was humongous, and I mean, I swear, that parade was probably like 3 hours long, you know, something that I've never seen before. And, you know, they had all the bands, the high school bands, the dancers, and they was doing all the flips and the Kappas and the Qs, all the sororities and fraternities, all that. Yeah. And the thing that made me the saddest is when the LGBTQ came through. And it was a small little like hot dog stand float. And it broke my heart. Out of that 3 hour
But
long
you know what?
parade.
But you know what? They made an effort to be there. So that's what really fucking counts.
They were excited to be there, but there were more Black people that were gay that were standing on the sidelines. There were more Black people that were gay that were standing over here on this side.
Well, maybe this year, you know what I'm saying, it'll be a little bit bigger. But they started somewhere. They started a platform. You can't build a building, make it fucking... You know what I'm saying? You got to have that foundation first. We got to get that foundation first. And then once we get that, then we can build.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Okay, here I go at being me again. I just got another text message. It's from a straight ally and he said, because I read that text, and he said, I was just getting ready to text you the same damn thing. And he said, this has been incredible to listen to. So many things I need to hold myself accountable and others as well. He said you 4 are rock stars, but it's you 3 are rock stars. I mean,
well, you're a rock star as well, Chris. You know that, man. You make the magic, man.
Right. Listen,
you know what I'm saying? We appreciate you, for real.
With pride, we try to bring people together where we can and how we can. Right. And so hopefully, you know, we don't want to just stop these conversations here. We want to see it reflected in our events. We want to see it reflected in the people that attend our events. We want to see it reflected in our venues. We want to see it reflected in our entertainment. We want to see it reflected. Like, these are all things that we've been talking about. But you know what? Like, circling back to what Stacy and I were talking about at the very beginning, is it's taken this talk and it's taking these things that are core beliefs and actually putting it out there on the street. And putting it out there for people to see, because, you know, you can come to a Pride board meeting and and dig into, you know, a lot of times it's like organizational type stuff and planning stuff. But when we have those tough conversations, you know,
Right.
they're very well, they're very fleshed out. You know what I mean? And they're mindful. They're mindful.
Yes.
So we need to. We're trying to bring that mindfulness out from.
Here's Camille. You know, my kids couldn't be. Yeah, it's a lot.
I need your address because it's Pride Month and I'm going to send them a care package and nothing but rainbow candy.
AJ, Uncle Chris is so disrespectful. He gives my kids all of this candy. And
that's what I do, Chris. High five.
No.
Give them fucking candy and bounce. Bye.
Like
give them all types of toys that make noise and shit.
No, see,
out. I'm out.
Okay, so you know what? I was just gonna say, since you live in Dunbar, I need to come visit you. But AJ, now you're out too. You can't do that. And the girls literally, like, every time I'm like, I have a Pride Board meeting, they're like, well, can we come? Because they think that there's going to be candy at the end of all of this. Because we should get the kids involved if they want to come. See what they can come to y'all's house afterwards. I know. Hey, you're in Dunbar. We'll put look. I'll drop you off.
Pride meeting. That's why I have this wonderful double chin right here.
Would you
Where
stop?
Chris?
I hate
you. Ain't got no double chin.
AJ, check out Chris's hair and the fact that Chris. I've never seen Chris and his hair has not been on point. Never, not once.
Never. If his hair has not been on point, then something's wrong.
That's right. That's when you know that, like, we need
Chris
to shut
was wrong. Who did it?
This is where we need to end the conversation.
We love you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I love you.
Truly, absolutely.
Sorry that Akasha had a technical. I bet you her phone died. I'll guarantee.
Yo, my call dropped, so I had to call y'all back. While we was talking, I was shaking my head and shit. Like, yeah, I hear y'all. I don't really, but
I love you.
Thank you for having me, Chris, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
I appreciate you letting us get our word out there. You know what I mean?
Well, and thanks for being real. You know, thanks for sharing yourself.
Thank you for everybody to watch. Like, thank you for the people who took their time out to want to be informed. And for the people who are watching who feel like you don't have actionable steps, Chris and I will get together, and AJ and Akasha can share as well what we can really do to create a better future for everybody. And again, you know, thank you for taking your time this Thursday evening and spending this with us. We really appreciate that.
Well, and you know, as we're saying goodbye, Akasha's joining us. She's connecting right now, so we'll get a goodbye from Akasha too. It says joining, but it's like, gosh, we've been all about this technology pauses tonight, haven't we?
Right.
Hey, girl.
No
hey.
face.
Yes.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Akasha, we were just saying goodbye to everybody, and we were saying how much we love you.
Why are you looking out the window? Are they out the window?
I heard everything that y'all said. I was watching you as you was talking.
Yes.
So you know what? We're all family.
Yes.
I know I've referred to, even talking about doing this, I referred to you three as being part of my tribe. And,
absolutely, man.
And that's what we need to foster with everybody in the sound of our voice. You know?
For sure. Everybody under these voices is leaning towards the same goal and the same mission. So let's get there together.
Yes. And thank you to everyone who watched and stayed with us, or you know what, maybe you watched and it was
too much, you know?
And you need to come back and watch some more and finish watching. But you
know
what?
Sure.
Talk to your people, talk to your friends, be a good person.
Make people be accountable.
Make a change. Let's make a change, y'all.
Change. That's right. Yeah.
And spill the tea. Always spill the tea. Spill it.
Right.
Actually,
spill it.
You didn't know it, but I had 2 glasses of tea while we were talking.
I wish I would have had some Henny though. I'm mad about that, but it's all good. I'll go get that later on.
Well, the next talk we'll have.
Next talk, yes.
I love you guys so much, and just so everyone knows, we're recording this too. So it's Rainbow Pride has a new YouTube channel, so we're even gonna put this on our YouTube. So if folks want to check it out. And any future spill the tea that we're going to have, the cool thing is with, COVID it's a crazy and has been a rough thing to live through. You know what? It's changed the narrative on how we communicate with people. Yes. Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to raise my hand. I don't know why I did that. So I don't know why I did that. I don't know. So while I was gonna say that's such a mom thing to do. So while we were on the call, I just got a tweet, like that thing pops up, and it says that maybe it was WCHS News. George Floyd was found to have coronavirus.
That's bullshit.
So an ending note, I just want to tell you all, everybody that's watching and the people on this call, make sure you educate yourself on what's going on so that when things are thrown out there, you can formulate your own opinions, your own opinions. Because as soon as I got that message, I wanted to stop and interrupt and be like, but I didn't. But the
thing, we're all having that same reaction right now. We just all had that same action because, like I said, I just want to, Jesus, I'm telling you.
Doing again.
But that's my thing. Like, y'all, why are y'all trying to hide the truth that man need him in his neck like that? And that's pressure. Did you know that you have a major pressure point in your fucking neck, and if you sustain amount of pressure on it, that you will pass out or probably die. So let's be real here. You were there for like 8 minutes. Come on.
But you know what, AJ, people.
But you had the coronavirus. Okay.
They can benefit off of using any type of excuse that they want. But guess what? We'll never hear George Floyd's excuse, and that's the problem.
No,
that's the tea. That's the tea. That's the tea. That's the tea.
And Akasha, you have you spilled the tea on the undeniable truth, don't you?
Yes, I do. You can always find me on the Undeniable Truth. I have a YouTube channel, the Undeniable Truth. I tell it like a TIE.
Look at you being a manager, Chris. I know that's right.
People don't like to hear the truth, but I call everybody out. My people.
Tell the truth, shine the devil.
Listen.
I call the LGBT out. I call people out, but I also like to educate. It's not just a call-out thing. It's to educate and to let people know what is going on and the truth behind what somebody said. If I don't say
tea, guys.
It's good. So come and check me out. Come and check me out.
Yo, you keep refilling, Stacy. I'll be damned. Can I get a cup?
AJ, were you okay? If you promise not to give my kids any candy, you can. Yeah, you can join. You can join. Like, yeah.
I'm cool. I'm not a whiner. I'm cool.
I love you guys so much. Like, honestly, I don't want these conversations to stop. I want you guys to come back and continuously keep educating us, continuously keep talking to us. Please. We need you all.
And you know what? When we can be in the same room comfortably or whatever that happens.
Tomorrow.
I told Stacy, it's like, people are going to wonder why we're hugging each other so much, because it's like, whenever we have these conversations and they're tough conversations, and it really doesn't matter where they navigate, because we always come back to each other and trying to understand each other. And honestly, it's a good thing, guys. I love you all.
Love you. Thank you.
It's getting all personal, all for the Facebook children out there and all the people all over West Virginia.
They got the tea. They got the tea. I love it.
That's right. They got the tea. The undeniable truth. And the truth from Aj the Mirage. Not so much a mirage. It's real.
It's real.
Yeah. Shit gets real.
It does. All right. I didn't even tell everyone the story of what you call me. So
you better not.
Right. See, that's another discussion. That's another discussion to talk about. We can do a part 2 if you want to, Chris. I'm down.
To get red. Yeah, we have to end the.
I told you every time.
You go ahead and say it if you want to.
I told Stacy, like, whenever AJ like refers to me that way, I just turn into like my lightness just kind of overflows, and I just see. Look, and I'm like,
right. He gets so happy.
I can't. Like, I'm happy right now.
That's what makes him happy.
All right.
Because deep down in his spirit, Akasha, he is.
I love you all. I'm gonna
love you too.
end the conversation now.
Love you guys so much. Thank you.
guys.
Bye.
No problem. See y'all later. Peace.
We'll see you later.